Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Sit back and listen to interviews, discussion about books, and anything else literary. There's always something or someone new on the show. Good evening, listeners, and welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast, Behind the Books, Honest Voices, Real Stories. I'm Amy Shannon.
And I'm Talia Haven.
And welcome to the literary commentary. You never know where the conversation will lead us, so let's find out. So, this is a new segment, literary commentary, and it will be on the first Sunday of each month. For January and February only, it'll be at 7 p.m., and then starting in March, it'll be at 6:30. So I just wanted to put that out there. And this is pretty much, the conversation between me and, my guest host, who will be with me every, first Sunday of the month for this segment, Talia Haven, and we will be talking about various topics. But we will always start with book releases for the month that we are aware of, and then at the end you can look forward to listening to Talia talk about submission calls. So publishers or publishing whatever are calling for submissions, we will be making a note of who they are on this towards the end of the show. So I'm just going to start out with January releases. Treacherous Hack by Kevin G. Chapman. The Turquoise Butterfly by Dr. Dale Evans. Be Kind by Amy Shannon. Yes, it's my second children's book coming out in January. Dust in the Wind, Jody Matheri. And just a note that title may be changed. I got a note from the author today that the title may change, but that's the title I have right now. Ghost Town by James R. Gregory. I Don't Hate You by Melina Druga. The Right Time Back to the 80s by Lena Gibson. And Elevator by Ron Kinsterchif. So, to start off our conversation, today we're going to be talking a little bit about, first I would say it's a hot topic, author scams.
Oh, yeah. I haven't had a lot of those because I just recently got myself a website. So I haven't really been plagued by offer scams, but I have heard that there's quite a few of them out there. Can you give me an idea on what the emails are entitled? Because, like I said, I haven't gotten any, but I just now got my big girl website, so.
Well, yeah, and I get a lot of them, and because I promote authors' work and I post reviews, these people, whoever they are, they use a name a different time each time, unless you actually start up a conversation with them. I did that once just to see how far it would go, but I knew it wasn't real. I had an email saying, you could be interviewed on CBS. And I'm like, yeah, right. And the email had enough information about one of my books, and from what I understand, it kind of mirrored what like my book description would be on Amazon or wherever I have my books listed. So when I'm like, yeah, right, okay, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, is this a scam? And they're like, no, of course not. It's not a scam. I'm like, all right, so what do I got to do? And they're like, you would be put on this list, and hopefully they would choose you to be the author that they, and I'm like, to be interviewed, and I'm still thinking, yeah, right. And I said, okay. So, I said, I don't have any money. So if this cost anything over $1, I can't do it. She responded back and she's like, oh, but it's only $295. And I'm thinking, see ya. I said, thanks, but no thanks. And then I just kept thinking, I was reading the email chain between the two of us, and I'm like, geez, I could have enticed somebody better than that. I don't want to give them tips. I knew right off the bat, but they've come in as pretending to be some type of author promoter. Sometimes I had another one, and I Googled the name because she said, oh yes, I'm this promoter. And it came up to the name, the only name I could find was an Australian singer. And I'm like, well, that's not her.
No, it's not.
No, so they write, it's always a different name. If you look closely, the email addresses are similar. Not all, when you get an email, unless you have it set up, email addresses will pop up. They will when you forward, but sometimes if you have them saved, it just shows a name. And they have it looks professional. And what's interesting is that they will talk about your book, expand on what you've, what's in your book that makes it so exciting. They will bold certain words so they stand out. And it's kind of like the same script. So I've told authors if they've ever, if they get an email and they're not sure if it's a scam or not, just forward it to me and I'll check it out for them. I don't mind being the investigator. When I first got those, I posted a blog post, and an author wrote back to me and said that she had heard that there was this, because she had gotten a lot of them too, that there was this scam in Nigeria. I guess that's where all the people go to scam people. I don't know. But who knows? They could be using it as a proxy server or whatever. It could be your next door neighbor. But, if you're unsure, they could send us a note asking me if it's real or not, and I will check into it. I've had some of my clients do that, and they're like, can you check this out? And I'm like, oh, they have a website, but it's just like one page and none of the links and nothing on there is related to anything that the letter said. So I'm like, sorry, this is not. And sometimes you can just go into Google and say, is blah, blah, blah a scam? And it will tell you if it's been recognized as a scam or something legitimate. With getting the emails, because like I mentioned, I was promoting authors. They sometimes I get emails and it's addressed to them or their name. The one I liked was when they because I was promoting them, she must be David. Gotten that a couple times. I don't know who David is, but thank you, David.
Yeah, it's got to be hard if you're looking for somebody to do PR for you, to get through all of the garbage that's out there. I've never been to a actual book convention. I kind of wonder if the legitimate PR people are there. It seems like it would be a prime opportunity for them to get clients. They have those book festivals that go on. Even I think Scholastic even does it. At least they used to. That you go in and you meet the authors and stuff, and it seems like that would be a great opportunity if you were looking for somebody. If there's something in your area to check that out and see if those PR people are there that are legitimate.
Exactly. And I've been, some of the things I do for some of my clients, they want an agent or a publisher instead of doing self-publishing. And the majority of the publicist and agent websites that I've gone to have this pop-up message that says, if you are receiving emails from blah, 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 that is a scam, because people are not just, making stuff up. They're impersonating agents from legitimate companies. And I've seen a lot of that, and I was like, oh, gee, wow,
Wow.
that's kind of ballsy, excuse my language, but, it's very interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't been plagued by that yet. Knock on wood. I'm going to have to find some after I get off the podcast with you. Give it a good solid knock, because so far, I mean, when you mentioned this, I'm like, I've never gotten anything like that. And if I have, spam filter must have grabbed it and tossed it into ether. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes spam does catch it, but sometimes spam actually throws emails from Amy's Bookshop Reviews and Podcasts into the spam folder, or my other company, Essence Enterprises. So I always tell people, check your spam folder. My stuff, it's not spam, and I try to schedule it so a few things go out at once, because people don't want to be bombarded with every time I do a post. And if I did a whole week of posting a review every week, they would get constant things. I had one author say, can you slow it down? I can't read as fast as you're recommending books. I'm like, sorry. So I did, I care about the authors that I represent, and, so if you're listening, beware of the scams, and they are always worded just right. I did have one that referenced my book, my children's book called What Am I? And it called the book Free. And Free is the actual name of the character, but the book is not named that. Free is just the name I gave the character until the end, when he finds out who he really is. And I was like, yeah, you didn't read this.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't even put the title in correctly. So yeah, it's like those old love connections online where, they say I love you by the third email, and you're like, what? And then they're like, can you send me some money so I can come and visit you? Nope.
No. I only have $1. I can't get an airline ticket for that. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoarding my pennies. That's about it. Oh,
So I
yeah.
think the safe way to go is, if anybody contacts you, if they're legitimate, I don't think they're out digging through Amazon, looking at titles, and just doing a mass emailing. If they're
No.
legitimate, the people are coming to them. So basically, if you get something like this, like Amy's been talking about, I don't think even somebody just starting out would go and do something like this.
Yeah.
Just,
I have
yeah.
had in the past, nobody does that. They don't reach out to somebody. I have had where maybe a publicist or a publisher, because they do subscribe, some of them do subscribe, and I have some close relationships with some publishers, and they'll see a recommendation about, like, they'll read the review. And now when I post my reviews, I've been posting the review and then what the book is about, to help the author. And I'm also putting in the publisher's name. Someone had asked me, a publisher had asked me if I could do that when I post my reviews. And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
But I've had like publishers or publicists contact me and said, "Oh, we're interested in so and so, their work, and we read their book. It's just because I recommended it, so they wanted to be in contact." And I said, I can't give you their information, but I'll give them your information, and they can reach out to you. That's not, I don't give out, I take confidentiality very seriously. I never tell someone or release someone's real name if they use a pen name. I never do that.
Right. Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
people are.
I think that is the best way, because if they do contact you, then you can contact them and they can make the decision. It's
Yeah.
great policy.
And it's just because, and I call them, any author who's ever had a review from me or is on my list, I call them my authors, and it's a term of endearment, because I feel like I help them out the best I can, but also I want to protect them from things like this.
Yes. Agreed.
But then we have, say, the flip side, not necessarily a scam, but I think in a way it could be. At least to me, it's not an ethical way to go. And that is, and I think I've told you about this before, of an author creating a pen name that is basically the same as a famous author, but the spelling is slightly different. So that way, and they do it because they write in the same genre as that particular, famous best-selling author. So it's kind of like a trick to get you to buy their book. And I almost fell for it. And then I was like, wait a minute. I was looking for a book by Stephen King. And I did, Stephen King. I follow him, but I was just looking for a specific book or wanted to see some of his older releases. And then there was this whole page on Amazon, Stephen King horror books. And I'm looking at these titles, and, some were spelled properly, so I knew those were Stephen King's, and I went to click on one because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And then I realized that this guy, he spelled his name Steven, and had Stephen King, and he was in horror, and his book title was right next to a normal or a regular Stephen King, but international best-selling author of ever.
Yeah.
And I think he's the god of horror, if you ask me. But I was like, oh man, and I almost fell for it because I thought, oh, I didn't recognize the title. I'm like, did I miss this book? And then I realized, no, I didn't miss it. It was from somebody else.
I've gone in and had to actually change the title of my books before, because the title that I was totally stuck on was already being used, and I wouldn't do that. I had changed actually a couple. One of them was The Judas Child.
Mm-hmm.
I had to change that title because I had originally had something else that somebody else had already used. And the new one that I'm doing, I actually had to flip the words because there was so many of what I wanted to use, more of the title. So I actually had to come up. I had to do that. I won't use somebody else's title.
Yeah.
But I haven't really paid attention when I buy anything off of Kindle, whether I've accidentally got somebody that was trying to commit a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
But I have had to give up titles that I thought were just perfect to make it something else, just so I wasn't piggybacking off of another author's title that was already published.
Yeah, and some don't do that, sure, there might be a lot of, I find it interesting, and I don't know if it's right, but I think I don't know, I know there's an author that writes Sherlock Holmes books, modern day.
Mhm.
And obviously the copyright for the originals, it runs out after 70 years. Um, 70 years after the death of the author, I should clarify. And it's like, I don't know, if I wanted to read a Sherlock Holmes book, I would stick with the originals. But that's just me, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, or for someone to do that. I can see like revamping stories or things like that. But, if you used a character that was similar to Holmes,
Mhm.
but you never know. It's like there's so many different versions of Frankenstein, but Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that's the one. And people still think that the monster is Frankenstein, and it's not.
Right.
Monster doesn't have a name.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, Mary Shelley, the new movie, I've seen it, and I have to say they did an excellent job on that.
Oh,
Have
good,
you seen
because
it?
no, but it's on like my watch list that I have to watch.
Yeah.
Um, I just finished watching the first 4 seasons of Stranger Things. Yes, I am a big nerd. And I don't mind. I have a Star Trek collection and I own all the DVDs. I like movies on DVDs because they're not always on TV or streaming
Yeah.
something, or you have to pay for them. And why pay for them when I have it? So I have all my Star Trek episodes of all the ones that I like, and I'm weird. I like unicorns too. But I think it's it's fun, and um whatever you like. I mean, I read a lot of books as a reviewer, but I have a lot of other interests, and I will buy books based off of that. And when I give gifts to, um, I if I can find a book that somebody is interested in on a subject, that's what I will do. Last Christmas, my son told me that his husband loves birds, so I got him this book on all birds, and he was like hugging the book. I'm like, because I got myself one, and
Uh-huh.
because my grandmother loved birds, and I was kind of like reading it, and when my son saw it, he's like, "Oh, my husband would love this." And so uh, I do that. Presents. When I used to give my nieces and nephews birthday presents, I would give them books. I think they set you on a new journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It hopefully puts a love of reading in early
I know,
as they're young.
yeah, and that I find is very important.
Yes.
Um, And, my kids, they're like, "Oh, we read enough when you taught us." I made them read a lot of books when I homeschooled them. But now when I write the children's book, I read them to them first. And they like it that I read it to them. I mean, how many times, as an adult do you get somebody that reads you a book?
That's true.
So we're close to the end, so why don't you talk about the submission call?
Okay. So we got talking, and there's not a lot of podcasts that talk about a lot of the smaller publishers and anthologies. I am a huge fan of writing for anthologies. I'm basically a short story writer that tortures herself with novels. And when I started writing, I did a lot of anthologies. Today, we want to put out a big thanks to Sam, who is the PR person at Ranicore Press. They do anthologies. They have one that's coming up, their most recent submission call. that'll be closing on January 23rd of 26. It's open right now, is Mad Science. It's about fridge science and the consequences. They are a paying market, royalty only. So make sure that you check that. They typically take from 8,000 to 8 from 5,000 to 8,000 words. They also have a brand new anthology out that Sam said that he edited. It's called High Class Muscle. And it's a different and interesting anthology line. I thought I put this out here. It focuses on men and the lines they won't cross. And for an anthology, I thought that was an excellent topic.
You mean there are lines that men won't cross?
That's what it's, yeah, the lines they won't cross. So I was very excited about that because when you look at
I'd like to know which lines those are.
When you look at the anthology market, it's mostly sometimes I think is geared towards the woman reader. And this one here is I think maybe I should have talked to Sam a little bit more, but I think it's all men in this and the lines that they won't cross in their lives. And I think it's an excellent subject. There's nothing out there that I've seen when I was doing anthologies, writing for them that even touched on this type of a subject.
Oh yeah. And especially if you're starting out just writing short stories, you can publish your own short stories or get a publisher, but, looking for, there are publishers that only publish anthologies. And yes. Sometimes what it does, there are authors that are, they only participate in anthologies, but they've got a name for themselves. So putting your story in with them, it's a market, and you could get somebody that actually says, "Oh, this is an interesting story. I've never heard of this author before."
Yep.
So that is, especially doing, short stories, whatever they call for. If you can write that, even if you've never written what the call is for, try it. See where it takes you. That's why I do, short stories, contest, kind of give you a little insight into, challenge yourself. Write about a subject you never wrote before. I wrote about science fiction. I love science fiction, but I've never written it before until my short story contest, because I figured that I don't want to ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So I did it myself. But yeah, anthologies, there are a lot of companies or a lot of publishers that, they are specific to anthologies. The way their royalty and things work is their own policy, and so it could be different from author to author. You might get paid ahead of time for your story, and then you don't get anything after that, even if the book sells 1 million copies. But there's other, read the print before you agree, so you know exactly how you are getting paid.
Yes.
I think that's important too, and anything. And we will be doing this, every first Sunday of the month, talk about releases, topics that interest us. If you have a topic that you think we should talk about, you can go to amysbookshelfreviews.com and send a note on my contact form, and we would be glad to look at it and see if it's something that we would discuss. And of course, we're also, doing submission calls each month. So I hope you all will come back.
I would again like to thank Sam at the PR department. I would also like to mention that they do have a mid-grade Boy Adventures series. that they also publish, because not only do they do the anthologies, they take regular books, and they have a boy adventure series that has quite a few interesting topics and titles on it. But thank you to Sam.
Yeah, really, because when you think about it, most of the I would say most readers are women. But I do know a lot of men who have read or love to read. And I think that everyone should be able to know how to read. So it is the end of another great conversation. And thank you, Talia, for being here on the first of the month.
Thank you.
And thank you, audience, for listening. If you wish to be a guest on the show, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com/podcast and schedule your pre-recording. Please follow this podcast on Spotify. I'm Amy Shannon. Be safe, be well, and always be kind. Tune in here again next week for another tantalizing discussion. Thank you for listening to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast.